Hello students, so in the previous video we had solved few questions based on torque acting on the dipole, right? Two of them were from NEET and one was of JEE question. Fine, and in today's video we will be discussing about continuous charge distribution, and that will discuss about linear charge density, surface charge density and volume charge density, how to find the force acting on the charge when charges are continuously distributed on a line, on a surface or on a three-dimension object that is having volume, right? That means, see, in the starting of the chapter we had discussed about Coulomb's law, right, which was for two stationary point charges Q1 and Q2, and the force was equals to product of K Q and Q2 by R square magnitude wise, right? Okay, now suppose we'll consider a wire which is in lying along xy plane. Let the wire be of length L on which we have continuously distributed the charges. Okay, once again this is a wire of length L on which Q charges continuously distributed on it, and we have been told to find the force acting on a point charge Q which is placed over here. Clear? So practically we cannot apply Coulomb's law because charges are continuously distributed. It would be too lengthy and too difficult method to find the force using Coulomb's law. That means one charge will exert a force on this, another charge will exert a force on this, third charge, fourth charge and so on, and that we have to add. That means the total or the resultant force will be obtained by addition of all the forces because of the charges. So many charges are placed over a line or charges are being continuously distributed on the line, right? So taking a single charge and then adding, that would be quite a lengthy method, right? So how will calculate the force acting on a charge Q because of all these charges? The charges are placed over a line, right, of length L. Total Q charge is being distributed over a wire of length L. Okay, so now summation is a difficult thing, so we'll go for integration. Integration means addition, right? We need to add all the forces, but integration is more preferable and it would be an easy method to calculate the force acting on a charge. So whenever the question is about continuous charge distribution and you have been told to calculate force or you have been told to calculate the electric field, most of the times you will find your answer by integration. Clear? You will find your answer by integration. Integration is to be used when charges are being continuously distributed over a wire or over any surface or any sphere, cube, volume. Clear? Suppose let us divide this wire into a very small length this way. See, this was your wire. Total Q is the charge distributed over the length L, right? I am dividing this. This will be dq charge, length will be dl, dq charge dl, dq charge dl. I have just divided this into a very small fragments, very small pieces. Clear? Okay, so let us say any of the charge, let us say this charge is dq, right? This is dq. Total charge is Q. Total charge is Q charge is distributed over a total length L. Clear? For a very small part of say length dl, this charge is dq. How will calculate the force acting on this charge? We'll divide the line into very small element, each element of length dl, right? This dl part is having a charge dq. So now we'll first find the force acting on this charge q because of this dq. Here dq will be considered as a point charge. So dq exerts a force on this charge q, right? This can be calculated using Coulomb's law because dq is a point charge now. Q is also a point charge, and so the force between two point charges can be calculated with the help of Coulomb's law. Okay, let us say this charge dq, let us say the position vector of this charge is say r, and this is say r dash. Okay, so the picture is this way. This is a charge dq, right? The position of this charge is r, position vector. This is charge q, it is having a position vector r dash, right? So first we'll just calculate that what is the force acting on this charge q because of this dq. So this can be given by Coulomb's law. dF is equals to k q dq upon this will be, let us say that this has x, so it will be x square into x caret. I have used this formula from Coulomb's law, k q into by r square into r caret. This is to show the direction. Now from vector addition, this is r, this is x, this is r dash. So r dash is the resultant of r plus x, head of first vector, tail of second vector. This will be the resultant vector. So r dash is equals to r plus x. So from this, x is equals to r dash minus r. Let us substitute over here. So the force acting on a charge q because of a very small charge dq, right? It will be k q dq upon r dash minus r, the whole square into unit vector, that is vector r dash upon its own magnitude. So this will be q. Here, see students, this is the force acting on this charge q, because of a very small charge dq. But we need to calculate the total force acting on this charge q because of all the charges lying on a wire of length L. Clear? So this is the force on charge q because of this dq. Similarly, this dq will exert a force on q, this dq will exert a this dq. So total force will be obtained by integration. Integrate all the forces because of all the charges dq, dq, dq lying on the length L, right? So total force F will be obtained by integration, line integration. Clear? dF. This is how total force can be calculated. So the total force acting on a charge q which is at a position r dash along xy plane will be equals to integration of this, right? That means this is equals to k q dq upon r dash minus r, the whole cube into r dash minus r. Clear? Now if you have been told to calculate the electric field because of all these charges, right? This is a force acting on a charge q because of all these charges which are lying on the line or wire of length L. Now you have been told to calculate the electric field at this point P. So electric field will be obtained if I am dividing this charge over here. This is F by Q. What is F by Q? Electric field. So this is how we will calculate the electric field because of all these charges. Got it, student? Okay. Now in your textbook they have defined a constant, right? That is known as linear charge density. That means C. Q is the total charge for length L. L is the length of the wire. On this wire, total charge is Q. So for a very small length, say dq, say dl, or you can say dx, the charge is dq. Got it? Q is the total charge over a length L. Over a length dl, the charge is dq, right? That means charge per unit length. This is charge per unit length. Charge per unit length. This will be a constant quantity, students. Charge per unit length will be a constant quantity. Let us say it as lambda. Lambda is known as linear charge density. Charge per unit length. See, that represents a charge. Lambda means it is a charge per unit length. It is a charge. Lambda represents charge, but for 1 meter length. That means suppose if I am saying that a charge of say 20 microcoulomb, or you can say, let us take it as 20 coulomb. 20 coulomb of charge is there for a 10 meter length, right? So total charge is of 20 coulomb, total length is of 10 meter, but for 1 meter charge will be 2 coulomb, right? So this 2 coulomb is known as lambda. So lambda represents that charge which is per meter length. Clear? In 1 meter, what will be the charge? That is represented by lambda. So lambda is known as charge per unit length or linear charge density. That represents charge per unit length. What will be the charge for 1 meter length or in 1 meter length? Got it? Clear? So lambda is Q by L, or lambda can also be written as dq by dl. The answer will be same. This is your total charge, then this is your total length. This is your very small charge, then this is your very small length. So the ratio will remain the same, right? So lambda can be written as either Q by L, or lambda can be written as dq by dl. What lambda represents? Charge per unit length. What will be the charge for 1 meter length? Got it? And what will be the unit? It will be coulomb per meter. Unit of charge is coulomb, unit of length is meter. So from this I can write dq equals to lambda into dl. Lambda into dl. Let us substitute over here. So total force F will be integration over the length L, K, Q. Instead of dq I am writing as lambda dl upon r dash minus r the whole cube, r dash minus. Got it? This is how we will calculate the force. What is lambda? Linear charge density. What does it represents? It represents charge per meter length. What will be the unit of lambda? Coulomb per meter. So lambda in a way represents charge. Okay, fine. So this is how we will calculate the force acting on a charge because of continuously distributed charge on a wire of length. Okay, this arrangement is linear. That means we are having a wire of length L on which charges are distributed. Clear? What if I am taking any two-dimension object or object containing area? Then charge will be enclosed inside a area, not over the length. These charges are distributed over a length, right? So we have represented as line integration, right? You need to make few changes if the charges are kept in two-dimension object or three-dimension object. Suppose, see, it's very easy. Suppose now charges are distributed this way in a rectangular shape area, and you have been told to calculate the force acting on this charge q, right? We'll use the same method. We'll consider a charge dq and we'll calculate the force acting on this charge q because of this dq, and then we'll integrate, but make few minor changes. Like now again we'll use the same concept. Let us take this charge as dq, let this be the position vector r dash, this is the force acting, and then we'll integrate. But now integration is over the area, so we'll place at surface area, and we'll make few changes over here. The remaining things will be same, right? See, in this case charge was distributed over a wire of length L, so we were writing it as q by L. But now we write it as q by A, charge per unit area, right? So this will be charge per unit area. Let us represent the constant by sigma. So sigma, coulomb per meter square. Clear? First, in the first case, the charges were distributed on a linear object, right? So we were writing as charge per unit length, and presently charges are placed inside a two-dimension object. So we'll write it as charge per unit area. And instead of lambda, we'll use sigma. So sigma can be written as dq upon dA. So now dq can be written as sigma into dA. That's it. Clear? So instead of dq, right, like this was the force, no? Total force was integration. We'll place here surface area. Kq, instead of dq, I'll write it as sigma dA upon r dash minus r, the whole cube into r dash minus r. The other things will remain same. You just have to change this sigma. Clear? What if the charges are distributed 3 dimension? So this will contain volume now. Now charges are placed inside a volume. So now we'll use sigma. We'll use rho dq by dv. Now charges are inside any volume, so dq by dv, right? And this will have charge per unit volume. It is q by v. So unit will be coulomb per meter cube. Make a change over here. Rho into dv. That's it. Rho into dv. Done, and we'll place here as volume integration. Clear? So whether charges are distributed over 1 dimension, 2 dimension or 3 dimension, total force or total electric field acting at a particular point will be calculated by integration. Got it? Clear? Lambda, sigma and rho, these are 3 constant terms. One represents charge per unit length, other represents charge per unit area, and the third one represents charge per unit volume. Then students, so this is how we will calculate the force or electric field acting because of continuous charge distribution. Fine. So now in the next video, we will be solving the questions based on continuous charge distribution and how will we obtain the answer by integrating. Clear? This is what we will be seeing in the next video. Thank you.